me from doing anything. And so I think this is really pertinent. Perfectionism is really an epidemic. And so on the negative side, it can lead to anxiety, stress, depression, eating disorders, addictions. It literally can turn really sour when we don't really have a good balance about self-care and our self-worth, and we're tied up into perfectionism and procrastination. So we'll go through some of these slides and have some time for just Q&A and chatting about it. But how many times have you found yourself stuck between perfectionism and procrastination? What would you guys say? Is this something that you are aware of on a daily basis? What would you guys say?
Yeah, I would say.
Is there anyone else but me that struggles with this?
What?
Is there anyone else besides me? Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty good. I don't procrastinate a whole lot, but perfectionism, like I like things a certain way and things done a certain way, and yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with having high standards or striving for excellence and wanting to do good work in whatever you do, right? But it's the cost of if that pursuit of excellence and good work is attached to my value and who I am as a person, and the cost that it can lead to, just hindering relationships, hindering work, hindering my body, then that's when there's some kind of like red flags, right?
What I love about these business principles that we talk about, or leadership principles that we talk about, is they're not just going to affect your business and growth. They will affect your parenting, your marriage, health and wellness as a whole.
So even looking at this question, how would your life be different and better 1 year from now if no longer you were struggling with perfectionism or procrastination? What would you guys say? How would your life be different and better a year from now if no longer you were struggling with procrastination or perfectionism? What comes to mind?
Less stress.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. How about you, Mark or Brandon? What would you guys say?
Definitely less stress for me, definitely.
Uh-huh. Mara, what comes to mind for you? Or Mark?
I would say not only less stress, but just getting a lot more done in the meantime, just being more effective and efficient.
Yeah.
I think the word that comes to my mind is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If both these were eliminated, there's just a freedom to my soul and my mind and my joy and my actions.
So it's interesting. I have to say, until I really looked at this, I don't think I would have put perfectionism and procrastination together. I just didn't see it that way. But as I looked through this material, I was like, wow, there is some connection that I wasn't really honest with. And but I want you guys to think about, how has perfectionism or procrastination, how has this held you back in growing your Shackley business and growing maybe your current business that you do the majority of your time? If you want to be honest, like, just how has that held you back?
I would say for me, like, because I am a perfectionist, that I'm scared to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's hard for me sometimes to take risks.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very honest. For sure.
I'd say a lot of times it's just debilitating in the sense of, like, sometimes I'm not a huge perfectionist, but I tend to yo-yo between the few things that I want to be perfectionist in and procrastination. And then I spend so much time trying to get out of each side that I don't spend any time in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Right. We don't have a balance, right? We kind of have that pendulum. I think so.
I struggle with more of procrastination, but I find that the more I struggle with procrastination, it throws me into a fear of having this illusion that everything's got to be perfect. Because now I'm behind the ball, and now I'm afraid that if I do anything, it's going to be not good enough. So why even do it? So it yo-yos in the cycle. It's evil for me.
Yeah. And I'm a fear. I have had a fear of failure and not being misunderstood, not looking good, image conscious or whatever. So if I don't come across as an expert and I don't really like nail it, I don't want to look bad. So I don't want to fail. So yeah, that definitely is. So we're going to look a little bit at each one of these. So perfectionism. I don't know if you guys can see based on where the thing is, that one image is a road to, let's see.
A roadblock to progress.
A roadblock to progress. So again, like I mentioned earlier, it's not just about having high standards. So wanting to strive for excellence is fine, but it's about more of defining your success in such a narrow way that you're punishing yourself for any kind of failure, right? And you're attaching that goal or whatever, you're attaching it to your self-worth. And if you fail or if it doesn't happen, you feel bad. So it's more of that feeling of you feel bad if you don't achieve it.
And this can morph. So some examples of this, and especially since we're in the digital world now, perfectionism, you throw yourself out there and you go, gosh, that post isn't good enough. And when Christine was taking the video today to invite everybody to the deal tonight, I walk out on a patio and she's on her third or fourth take. And I'm like, hey, it's not perfect, is it? But there's all sense of,
yeah.
And I a year ago, 2 years ago, when Christine was really with a coach, I'm watching this from afar, watching Christine deal with perfectionism. There was a fear of her posting anything. And her business coach started working through these concepts and other concepts. And literally, in a simple example was, in a social media post that used to take her half an hour to an hour to produce, is now in that 5-minute production. Because there was such a fear, do I have all the words right? Do I have all the intonations right? Instead of just going, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. So again, the root of it is believing your self-worth is based on your achievements. And you know what, honestly, sometimes, as a parent now, Steve and I were talking about this. Steve and I are both, we strive for excellence. We have a really high work ethic. I think we're both perfectionists in many ways. And so how are we modeling that to our kids? Are we even giving them grace to say that it's okay to have B's? But I think both of us are like, no, you can make A's, you can make straight A's. And so I think I'm becoming more aware of that. Like that, even I think growing up, was my worth based on my achievements? And so, that's something that I think for all of us, we might need to dig a little deeper and go, growing up, what did I believe about myself? What story was I telling myself? What story was I hearing about my worth? That if I didn't achieve something, I wasn't going to be recognized or, just have the praise or words of affirmation or encouragement or love from a parent, a figure, a mentor, whatever. So,
and the self-worth insecurity rears its ugly head in all different ways. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not sexy enough. I'm not loving enough. I'm not smart enough. All of those are little evil things that we've started to date. Well, and then so what they do is we hold on to those fears, and we may go, well, we're not a perfectionist. But if you've ever kind of played those mental gymnastics in your own mind of saying, I'm not these things because I'm not perfect, or my nose or my lips or my love handles or whatever.
mm-hmm.
That's it's got its core in a struggle with perfectionism. So some of us have it in larger in the pendulum thing.
Yeah. So again, it's not about being perfect. It's about perfectionism is about feeling perfect. So basically destructive, a destructive way of thinking. So we can have all these kind of different emotions going on. All the emojis. Now we're in a world of emojis, right? So we can just with an emoji tell how we're feeling, which is in this sign right here. So even So sometimes it's just being aware, right, of our emotional awareness and what's going on. So ask yourself, when that perfectionistic tendencies come about, it's like, what emotions am I feeling? And honestly, I think the biggest thing I started realizing is what triggers those emotions, and what was leading up to those perfectionistic behaviors.
So if there's a fear, then use that fear emotion to go, what's it attached to? What am I afraid of? Um, if there's an anxiety, oh my goodness. And we'll talk about this at the very end. Shackley's kind of having a 4-day of action, of business action. And maybe some of us were shrinking back from that. That emotion is, well, no, I'm too busy or I'm scared. Start tying that in. Are you afraid because you're not going to be able to get 30 conversations in? So you feel like a failure. Let that emotion ride and become self-aware.
Yeah, for sure. We'll go over that procrastination. So we're going to touch on this. So you see the little figure of fulfilled life, but then that huge, I don't know, cavern of procrastination. And basically, it's just a sense that when activity, it's based on a low tolerance for frustration and failure. We don't want to fail. We don't want to be in that discomfort. We don't want to be in that frustration. So instead, we're just choosing not to do it. We're going to avoid it. We're going to do something else that's easy, that's comfortable, that's known, and that's safe. And I think what you mentioned earlier, it's like we don't want to take the risk, right? And that can come in a lot of different ways for us. Oh, we're going to say
No.
something?
Go ahead.
Like, so anyway, the perfectionist is often afraid to try. So instead they don't begin. So even as, to me, being a perfectionist seems a little bit more sexy, more tolerable, right? More business savvy, because it tells you that even my almost my image attached to, I don't know, like I'm a business mogul, but procrastination sounds weak. It sounds like I'm just not doing it. I'm not making the cut. But really, perfectionists, we don't begin because we don't want to fail. And so there is that loop. That's that connection. We so badly don't want to look bad. We don't want to fail. We just don't want to have that discomfort. And so instead, we just don't begin. So looking at this little image right here, this woman is showing on the chart, you put off, you do later, revisit, hope it goes away. I think I see the problem, but let's tackle that tomorrow. And we just put it off. And I tell you, I remember reading this one book that I think it was by Brian Tracy that said, "Eat the frog." And it was a short, simple book that basically is like, do the hard things first. Like, do the most uncomfortable, hard, challenging task first in the morning. Otherwise, I was getting in the habit of doing the easy stuff. And then by the time I could say, well, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'd postpone it because it was going to be hard. Maybe it was like, I don't want to call those 10 people. I don't want to make those business calls. I don't want to post that live video.
So have you heard this
Whatever
before?
it is.
Have you heard this before? I'm not going to make phone calls yet because I just don't know all the questions that might come up. I don't know the products well enough. I'm not a nutritionist. Therefore, I'm not going to do it. You see what that did? That's a Shackley specific, sales specific response to perfectionism forcing us into procrastination. If I haven't made 30 phone calls this week, ask why. Because you procrastinated. We all can admit, if we were to make 30 phone calls a week regarding our Shackley business, would it grow? Yeah, it would grow in a heartbeat. So if we had 30 to see if people are going to buy the business or buy the product, we know it would grow. So then we just go work our way backwards. Why am I procrastinating that? It's probably tied into a perfectionist that says, I don't know there's something tied into it. There could be, I'm just afraid of the phone. And that's a perfectionist as well, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what they asked me this question. And so I think that's something that we've got to get. So this is why people procrastinate. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to do it. And we don't enjoy doing it. And that is a procrastination mantra. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. And you know what? I don't really like sales. And we've all said it. I've had on my to-do list 2 items for about, well, forever. Make Shackley phone calls and reach out to some new prospective business leaders, and call stores to buy pillows. Those are the kind of 2 things that I'm growing right now. And right now, as a perfectionist, I'm not making calls to stores because I'm like, well, they're probably a little stressed. They're not open yet. They're in COVID. They don't want to hear from me. And it's an absolute joke because when I finally did start phone calling people, we just got to talk and I got to empathize and I got to listen. And that's where you start moving. So in procrastination, work in progress.
Do something, anything. And I think this is how we get unstuck. I think I have to admit, sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing it. It doesn't feel good. And I think if we perceive something that is uncomfortable, that discomfort, we will totally sidestep. We will totally shuffle around it, and we will walk the other way to get around doing that one thing that we know will help grow our business or whatever it is. We literally will sidestep and do something else that's not as uncomfortable. And so really the key to getting unstuck is just to move. Like anything, if anything gets unstuck, like how do we get it going? We got to move it. And then on the other side of that is where we're going to see some elation of like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that hard. So the secret is just showing up and doing something, anything. And on the other side of that is action.
Yeah. And so for this weekend, there will be a challenge at the end of this on this weekend of action is to have 30 conversations. If we were to ask you to have 30 conversations every 4 days, you just can't sustain that. There's certain times in our lives where you go, okay, I'm going to, it's preseason football. There's boot camp for about 2 weeks. Guys go into camp, they cram in 15 practices, but it's not sustainable. But those 15 days change the course of time for what it's going to look like in the bowl game. And so in your this weekend, having 30 conversations, messages, phone calls, DMs, Zoom calls will change your business in 2 years. And so do something. So if anything, just start, because on the other side of that action is where the results are. And that's going to be the most amazing thing. Procrastination is the action of ruining your life for no apparent reason. But we know it's tied into fears,
Yeah.
which is tied into perfectionism, which is tied into insecurities, which is tied into all of those things. All of us have it. If it looks like someone doesn't have it, they're lying and they're faking it. They're just better at just taking those baby steps. Maybe they've learned to cover up those things. What is it costing you right now by not taking actions toward your big goals? What do you guys say? Just give some examples. Be honest.
I think this was a big one for me. What does it cost you? Time, like all that kind of stuff. What does it cost you by not taking action towards your big goals?
Honestly, money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, it cost me my integrity, because my dreams are big, and if I don't take it, then it really attacks my own personal sense of integrity. Because then I'm like, am I really about this? I say I am. So I do these gut checks on a regular basis. Am I really about building these 2 businesses? Am I really helping others? Am I really about this? If I am, then shoot, let's go for it, because it's amazing. And to be honest, it cost me freedom. It cost me my joy. It cost me where I want to be when I'm 60. Not taking action today, it's costing me. Any other things it's costing you guys?
One thing that comes to my mind is a year ago is when I decided I wasn't going to procrastinate anymore. And about a year ago, I started being consistent posting on social media. I just started being consistent to kind of put myself out there. And that's literally how I think, well, Mark, you and Steve connected. And that's how I reconnected with Kelsey and Iramara. Had I not done that, this group tonight would not be existing 100%. And so I think about the relationships, the friendships, the impact in people's lives. And I have a folder of people that, and this, Brandon, when you have clients that, they thank you for helping me get back on track in my health and fitness goals, with Kelsey massage, thank you for helping me feel better. Like, it's just as this feeling and sense of like, I love that I get to help people. So I think it would have cost me friendships, business partnerships, reconnections. I think of Iramara, like we, reconnecting, and we haven't seen each other in 30 years. So it's cool. So I just think, who else, can I, be able to experience relationships because of me taking steps of faith, taking steps forward. One thing I want to say is, I had to practice self-compassion, and I had to not keep beating myself up for not doing what I know I wanted to do. And I think that's a huge thing when we begin to forgive ourselves and not just beat ourselves up for like, golly, why can't I get this together? Why can't I do this? Why am I such a chicken? Why am I so afraid? Why am I, whatever it is in business and life? Stop the negative speech. Stop the negative talk. Like, really move forward and say, and this was something that these 3 phrases is what I learned, and I kind of hold my hat on with the business coach I had 2 years ago, is I am enough, I add value to people's lives, and I have what it takes. Because I can tell you 2 years ago, I did not believe any of those 3. I didn't believe that I had enough. I didn't believe that I had what it took. And I really doubted, do I add value to people's lives? So self-compassion is huge.
We got to break this. We got to break the loop wherever we are. How to break it? Everything you've ever wanted in your life lies right on the other side of embracing uncertainty and letting go of control. It's getting used to the uncertain. I don't know everything. I don't know how to do everything. In the sense, letting go of all the control. Everything that we want is right on the other side of those 2 things. And so embracing those 2 things will be some of the first steps for you.
So here's some 5 things that we'll end on, and then go through like what the weekend of action looks like. But basically kind of 5 action steps. What can I do to break this loop? And one is go for a good enough. It's interesting. Someone mentioned just that, we strive for those A's, but also striving for those B's still change lives. Those, getting a B still makes a difference. Getting a B, you still get a college degree, right? And so I think it's just, I don't need to have a perfect post. I just want to be authentic. So go for good enough. The second one, strive for excellence instead of perfection. That no one's perfect. So I have to let go of that kind of phantom thing that I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to have it all together.
I love this concept because I love striving for excellence, but getting rid of that perfectionist concept. Break the addictions to comparing yourself to others. Don't compare yourselves to us. We're here to help you, inspire you. We're different. We're different people. We have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. But that will crush you in the perfectionism and procrastination loop.
And even this is something that you can do on your own, but considering the best worst case scenario. So even maybe identifying what is one thing that I just find myself really struggling in being perfectionistic about or procrastinating about, and write it down. And the best case scenario, what's the best case scenario if I take action on this? So
for example, if you talk to 30 people this weekend, what's the best case scenario that could come out of that this weekend?
Best case is that everyone says yes.
Yeah. They rise up and call you blessed and say, we're buying product. You guys find chicken and eggs. You've got a farmhouse full of chickens and eggs everywhere.
You got a team.
Yeah, and people say, thank you so much for calling me. Thank you for reaching out to me. You know what? I've been struggling with this. Okay, flip it over. What's the worst case scenario that could happen this weekend?
You hear a lot of no's.
Yeah, hear a lot of no's. Mark?
I was going to say everybody says no.
Yeah. You guys didn't go far enough. why the hell did you call me? I hate multi-level marketing. I don't like, I think you're out for money. I think you're greedy. I think you're a fraud. You guys' brain didn't even go there because mine went there before. But the reality is right in the middle is probably what's going to happen. Maybe not as severe as what mine.
Right. But what could be the most probable? What would be the most realistic thing that could happen? What would you guys say?
Probably get like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And like, I think if they knew where your heart was and why you're trying to get them to do this, I don't think they would say like, you're a fraud, you're just trying to sell me, because like they know you as a person.
Right. Maybe that's
so
they might say, you know what, it's not the right timing for me, but thanks for reaching out, or I've got
right.
ready, but I wish you well in your business. Thanks for thinking of me. I'm not interested, but they'd be kind, they would be responsive. But if we didn't go for those 30, we would never even get the 5 or 6. If we go for 1 or 2, we might get 0. So it is that numbers game at that point too, right?
Yeah, Sean Gray, he's spoke earlier today on the challenge this weekend, basically said a couple years ago he did a massive real action deal. And they did a home show, and from that, one person he met generated 10,000 new customers in his business many years later. So what's the best case scenario is that 4 years from now, 10,000 customers are buying from your leadership because you called 30 people this weekend. That blows me away. But that is right there on our fingertips.
Yeah.
And the last one to break this loop
is time on your side. This one meant something to me because I think I always struggled with how do I, and all you guys have jobs. How do I fit Shackley in? What does that look like? And if I'm going to spend 5 hours a week on Shackley, that I know intentionally what I'm going to spend. So instead of saying, yeah, I'm going to work my Shackley business, on Saturday. But now it's like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make those 30 connections, those 30 phone calls. So I know exactly what I'm doing with my time. So it's more of a task to complete. And then I'm going to reward myself. So for you, Mark, it might be, I'm going to make those 30 phone calls and then I'm going to go on my 50-mile run.
That sounds like a punishment.
Or I wish we could say, I'm going to make those 30 phone calls. I'm going to get a massage by Kelsey.
Yeah.
But it's like, I want to reward myself. Like, I'm going to do this work and I'm going to have a task to complete. And I know what I'm doing. So it really makes that effort and more efficient, and I can kind of check off and go, I did it. I did what I set out to do. I completed my task. So I think for your next step is maybe write down, where am I showing up in these areas of procrastination, perfectionism? And then even for something like the 30 business conversations, because I want to see a change. I want to move my business forward. That next step is, all right, I'm going to go for it. What's the worst case scenario? Maybe I don't make all the calls. Maybe it don't happen. But what's the best case? I make those 30 calls and I find some new distributors, friends, leaders, business, people that want to buy.
So Christine, Kelsey, you might already be aware, but what is offering this weekend? There is a
yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
And I did. I know we're over our time, so I'll try to make this. Oops, sorry, Brandon. He got disconnected.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome back, Brandon. Sorry.
There we go.
This is recorded, so you'll get to listen what you missed. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, my phone died.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Go back over. We'll send the video. But this weekend, I know we mentioned the weekend of action, and it's really cool. Like all of Shackley, like in the entire organization, company of Shackley is doing a weekend of action. So it started today, and it's like basically until Sunday. So here's the cool thing. You guys, like anyone that wants to join Shackley as a business, right now it's $25 because it's been 25% off. Now with any product purchase, that is waived. So if you have, so even like Austin, that's still kind of thinking, do I want to do this? Literally, he tried a product like protein. He could sign up to be a distributor for free, $0. If someone was to order the Perfect Challenge or the Immunity Challenge, they're going to get a free cafe latte canister added in.
Big.
Totally free.
So not only are you getting in the Prove It Challenge, you're basically getting the cleanse for free as part of the 159. You get to be a distributor for free, and they're going to throw another $30, $35 protein on top of it. So
yeah,
it's a weekend of action and going, gosh, I got this great opportunity. People are not foreign to sales. There's sales going all over the industry in the world right now this weekend alone to get people to buy, especially because businesses are going broke. But now's a great opportunity to ABC, always be closing. And so offering people something that doesn't exist ever before.
So that is a special that's going on. So here's the cool thing. On June 1st, I know Kelsey has some people on June 1st, and there's another week on June 8th. We're restarting another 30-day challenge for people that join in with the Prove It Challenge. So this is a perfect time to say, hey, jump into summer. I mean, post Memorial Day, we're doing a Prove It Challenge. So this would be a great time for people to jump in and try the products, try the Prove It Challenge. So great time, Brandon. Even if you have clients, like this is a great time to basically jumpstart nutritionally your summer bod.
So back to in the last minute that we're together, because we went on our time and we started late, is back to the stimulus package. Remember, it's 12 new people Prove It Challenge or Immunity Challenge. 3 of those 12 become distributors. Wait, it's free this weekend.
Which is easy, right?
And what's the third? And do that in 3 months.
And 3 people repeat.
And 3 people repeat. So essentially it's 9 people plus 3 more, so 12. But of those 12, 3 people have to become distributors. Well, this weekend, if 12 people sign up, you can make 12 distributors because it's all free. And 3 of those people reorder this weekend, you've just got yourself $1,000. You could literally this weekend finish the stimulus package in one weekend because all the barriers are gone. Plus they're getting those 3 get the $25 wiped away, and they get another $35 protein canister. So they're really getting 45 days worth of protein. It's a win-win. Now it's also the immunity challenge. That's the
free Nutriferon.
Free Nutriferon and the other things, the immunity challenge. So if you're thinking I still want that $1,000, this weekend they're saying, gosh, we can't make it any easier for you.
Yeah.
So we don't do a ton of, hey, did you do your homework from the week before, which we won't do because we don't want to shame you, but we do want to celebrate you. Hold yourselves accountable to the homework assignment. This weekend, it's figuring out what can I do in action to take advantage of what Shackley's giving me as all these freebies, an opportunity to set me up for success.
Well, and here's the thing in closing, when Steve and I offer, like even for Mark, Brandon, I know Kelsey and I have chatted today. What steps do you need to do to make this happen? So we can have a one-on-one, a 3-way call, do that. Because I think, you might be drinking from a fire hose right now and it might go, I don't know what to do. So I want to say, you've got this information. Think of this as, okay, I'm in boot camp and I'm going to do boot camp this weekend. I'm going to bust my butt and I'm going to feel good because I put in the work this weekend. And so get on the call, like just say, hey, I have 30 minutes tomorrow to chat with you guys. When can you call? When can you chat? And let's just help you think through, how do I make this happen?
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Text us anytime and we'll help you and reach right back out to you.
Do you do a question, Kelsey?
Oh no. It's like, yeah, like actually I see your video on Instagram.
What's that? Oh, our dog one?
Video. Oh yeah. That's awful.
Go see the bunny. Go see the bunny.
His little head was so I couldn't do it. So love you guys.
We're here for you. So give us a call.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys.